And this week, the Parliament is likely to pass a bill for mitochondrial donation law reform. Approximately one child each week is born with this disease, and with no known cure, those diagnosed have a life expectancy of less than 5 years. Mitochondrial donations, as they're known, could prevent the disease from being passed down to children. And joining me live is Sean Murray. He's the CEO of the Mito Foundation. Thanks so much for your time, Sean. What is a mito donation?
Well, mitochondrial donation, as you said, is an IVF-based technique that can prevent the transmission of these horrible mitochondrial diseases from an affected woman to her child. And the reason it's from a woman is because mitochondrial diseases occur when we have problems in our mitochondria. Now, most people haven't heard of mitochondrial disease and most people haven't heard of mitochondria, but they're the powerhouses of our cells. Their job is to convert the food that we eat into a form of energy that our cells use to sustain life. But we get all of our mitochondria from our mothers. And that gave an opportunity and gave rise to this opportunity to prevent the transmission of these diseases from a woman to her children by replacing these unhealthy mitochondria with healthy mitochondria from a donor.
Right, so science has done amazing things here, but we need our Parliament to catch up. This is going to be considered this week. Do you think it will be controversial?
Well, the proposed legislative change that is required to allow this technique has been, as we understand it, it's been proposed that it will proceed to a conscience vote by all the major parties. Being an IVF technique, I think that that's one of the main drivers around the major parties proposing that it will go forward as a conscience vote, because we know that IVF is something that still can cause some controversy in some members of our community. But as a new medical technique, it is something that does require a lot of consideration, and this is part of that process of deliberation.
Okay, so it will be a conscious vote likely from the major parties. I understand that the Prime Minister, Greg Hunt, is on board. Can you see this being a bipartisan thing largely? Yeah,
we've at the Mito Foundation, we've undertaken consultation with a broad base of MPs and senators, and largely the reception we're getting is very positive, and that's reflective of what we see in society as well. There have been a number of consultations and academic investigations, a process undertaken also by our NHMRC, and overwhelmingly, once people understand what this technique is for, and critically, it is all about ensuring people can have healthy children, that we find that there is overwhelming support for this.
And you're the CEO of this foundation for a reason. Yeah. You've got quite the history here. How would this change lives?
Yeah, well, my family's story is one of many. My family's been impacted by these mitochondrial diseases for generations. And that will persist along the maternal line until...
generation?
That's right, as far as we know. So my grandmother died from it, her sister died from it, my mother died from it, my brother died from it. I had my eldest sister lived for 3 days. I never met her, but presumably she died from mitochondrial disease. But then my family's story is, as I said, just one of many. I met a family recently who lost their 9-week-old baby just in January, and you can only begin to imagine the impact on families it has when it impacts children that young.
Okay, well, the money's there. We need the laws to change, and it's looking positive at this point, Sean.
And this is a real opportunity of hope for this mitochondrial disease community in Australia.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Sean Murray.
Thanks so much.
We hope to see that this week in Parliament. Thanks so much.